I really think that energy is the key issue for the future cooperation between Europe and North Africa. If we look at the European objectives in terms of decarbonization goals, we should be clear saying that it's very difficult, it's very hard for Europe to reach these objectives only by improving renewable production inside European countries. That means that we as, being Italian, European, I said we must also to think how and where to import renewable energies. And if we look at the current situation with the war in Ukraine, with the difficulties we have in the east part of Europe, the only part to import renewables is the South Mediterranean. That means we must invest in the South Mediterranean. This is an imperative, I think, for Europe, but in a different way, according to what was in the past. It's not only a question of buying fossil fuels as it was in the past. For the renewables, if we talk of a solar plant, if we talk of a wind plant, if we talk about hydrogen, we talk about sectors that need also investment in technology, need investment in manufacturing. Under, we can say, a solar plant or a wind plant, there is manufacturing, there is technology. That means many options of cooperation with Northern African countries and European countries on the other side. This is the reason why I said that also from another perspective, the evolution of technology. We discussed during the second panel, for example, Desert Tech experience, and we saw that we have a lot to learn about the failure of Desert Tech. At that time, the technology was only for the production of energy, electricity, with a solar plant, and how to bring this electricity to Europe using the grids. Now, there are multiple options. You can produce with a solar plant, you can produce electricity, and then to transform this electricity into ammonia or to gas. So to use also the existing pipelines, a multiple option that open new opportunities of cooperation. To look at the supply chain, we should look, I think, at ports and logistics. Because 80% of manufacturing trade, and when we talk about manufacturing trade, we talk about supply chain. So 80% of manufacturing trade all over the world is made by shipping, by maritime mode. So if we look at ports, if we look at logistics, we can understand how what is the evolution that is currently on supply chain. The first point is the regionalization of the supply chain. But this is also, again, an option for the Mediterranean area, because the regionalization of the supply chain means also there are a lot of opportunity for the reshoring from Asia to the Mediterranean area, which is close to the European market, but also with an option to export over the Atlantic to the United States. The shortage of the supply chain is a positive option also in terms of cooperation between the north shore of the Mediterranean, European countries, and South Mediterranean. And again, in your country, I think there is a wonderful example, which is Tanger Med. Tanger Med is an example of a port which is not longer only a port as it was in the past, a place where goods and passengers come and leave. Ports now are pole of development. That means also a place where industries can produce and use the port to export. Relations and an ecosystem with universities, incubators, startups, and also energy, because so we can link in a certain way this perspective to the one we had on energy, because ports are now also energy hubs, and energy is essential for supply chain. So what I mean is that I think that this cooperation between the north shore of the Mediterranean, the European side, and North African countries can be developed following the example of what you in Morocco made with Tanger Med, which is something we are trying, for example, to do in Italy with special economic zone in South Italian ports, but we are far to reach the goals of Morocco. Yes, absolutely. I think is a crucial role, and I think also that especially in some sector, automotive sector, aerospace sector, agro-food sector are a clear sector in which ports are strategic, because the large majority of trade in this sector is between ports and using the shipping carriers. So no way to lose time on that. I think we have a lot to invest also in terms of modernizing the infrastructures, because again, I take the example of Tanger Med. In 10 years, Tanger Med evolved and become one of the most important ports in the Mediterranean. But that means ability also to have a high efficiency in terms of services, which is not the case of all the ports in the Mediterranean. Improving the quality of services in the ports is a key way to improve the efficiency for the supply chains.